Imagine coming home after a long, stressful day at work, pulling into your driveway, and seeing your own sister trying to shove your 10-week-old puppy into the back of her minivan. Now imagine her looking you dead in the eye, totally unbothered, and saying, "You don't even have kids. My children deserve him more than you do." Yeah, she actually tried to steal my dog. But what my sister didn't realize when she decided to play amateur dog napper was that I don't play around when it comes to my pets. Because I didn't just catch her in the driveway. I had 1080p high-definition video of her breaking into my house, and I was already on the phone with the police. If you are a pet owner who loves your animals like they are your own children, and you have that one entitled family member who thinks the world revolves around their kids, you are going to want to sit down for this. Because the level of audacity here is actually mind-blowing. Let's back up and talk about the dynamic between me and my older sister, who we will call Amanda. I am 28, single, and happily child-free. I own a small, quiet house with a big fenced-in backyard. About 2 months ago, I finally decided I was ready for a companion, so I adopted Milo. Milo is a golden retriever mix, and he is essentially a clumsy 30-pound marshmallow with giant paws. He is my absolute world. Amanda, on the other hand, is a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids under the age of 8. Her house is essentially a war zone of stepping on Legos and screaming matches. Amanda is the textbook definition of an entitled parent. She firmly believes that because she chose to have a large family, everyone else in her life should sacrifice their time, money, and belongings to make her life easier. I usually just keep my distance to keep the peace. But then, I made the fatal mistake of inviting her over for a Sunday barbecue so she could meet the new puppy. The second Amanda's kids walked through my front door, it was chaos. They were chasing Milo around the living room, pulling on his ears, and trying to ride him like a pony. Milo was terrified. He kept hiding behind my legs, shaking. I finally stepped in. I scooped Milo up and told the kids, very gently, that they needed to calm down because they were scaring him. Amanda rolled her eyes so hard I thought they were going to get stuck in the back of her head. "Oh, relax," she scoffed, sipping her Diet Coke. "They're just playing. He's a dog. He needs to get used to kids anyway." "Actually, we've been meaning to talk to you about that." I looked at her, confused. "Talk to me about what?" Amanda smiled this perfectly rehearsed, incredibly condescending smile. "The kids have been begging for a puppy, but my husband said we can't afford the adoption fees and the vet bills right now. So, we figured, since you already paid for all of that, it just makes sense for us to take Milo." My brain actually short-circuited. I literally let out a laugh because I thought she was making a terrible joke. She wasn't laughing. "I'm serious," she said, crossing her arms. "You work 40 hours a week. It is completely selfish for you to keep a puppy locked up in a house all day when he could be playing with my kids. You don't have a real family. He's just a dog to you, but he would be a childhood memory for them. We're taking him when we leave." Have you ever been so angry that you actually feel a ringing sensation in your ears? I held Milo tighter to my chest. I didn't yell, but my voice was shaking. "Amanda," I said, "Milo is my dog. I pay for his food, his vet care, and this house. He is not a toy for your kids. You are absolutely not taking him, and if your kids can't respect his space, you all need to leave right now." She threw a massive tantrum. She packed up her kids, told me I was a selfish, miserable person, and slammed my front door so hard the picture frames rattled on the walls. I thought that was the end of it. I thought it was just another classic Amanda meltdown. But I was so wrong. Fast forward to Wednesday of that same week. I was sitting at my desk at work, and my phone buzzed. It was a text from Amanda. It read, "Hey, sorry about Sunday. What time is your lunch break today? I want to drop off a coffee to apologize. Now." Here is a little tangent about human intuition. Your gut feeling is an evolutionary survival trait. When something feels off, it is usually because your subconscious has picked up on a threat that your logical brain hasn't processed yet. Amanda had never, in my 28 years of life, brought me a coffee to apologize for anything. My stomach dropped. I realized something terrifying. I kept a spare house key hidden inside a fake plastic rock in my garden, just in case I ever locked myself out. Amanda knew about that rock. I didn't reply to her text. Instead, I immediately pulled up Amazon. I paid extra for same-day delivery on 3 discrete, high-definition Wi-Fi security cameras. When I got home that night, I went full spy mode. I set one camera up pointing at the front door, one pointing at the back door, and one in the living room pointing directly at Milo's crate. I connected them all to an app on my phone, turned on the motion sensor notifications, and went to sleep. I didn't know if I was just being paranoid, but I was about to find out exactly how crazy my sister really was. The next morning, I went to work as usual. I put Milo in his crate with his favorite peanut butter toy, locked the doors, and drove to the office. At exactly 11:15 a.m., my phone lit up on my desk. Notification: motion detected at the back door. My heart jumped into my throat. I quickly opened the app and clicked on the live feed. There, on my screen, in crystal clear color, was Amanda. She was standing on my back porch, holding the fake plastic rock. She pulled the spare key out. I slid it into the deadbolt and unlocked my door. I couldn't breathe. I was watching my own sister break into my house. I switched the camera view to the living room. Amanda walked in. She was carrying a brand new pink dog leash and a bag of treats. The kids weren't with her. She was doing this solo. She walked right up to Milo's crate, cooing at him, and reached for the latch. I didn't call her. I didn't text her to stop. I grabbed my car keys, ran out of my office, and dialed 911. I told the dispatcher that I was watching a live video feed of an intruder inside my home, attempting to steal my property. I gave them my address and told them I was 5 minutes away. I drove like an absolute maniac, but my mind was terrifyingly clear. She thought I was a pushover, and she thought she could just bulldoze my boundaries and take whatever she wanted because she had the magic title of Mom. I was about to give her a reality check she would never forget. I turned onto my street, just as Amanda was walking out of my front door. She had Milo on the pink leash. He looked confused and was pulling backward, trying to stay on the porch. I slammed my car into park right behind her minivan, completely blocking her into the driveway. I jumped out of the car. Amanda froze, the color completely drained from her face. "What are you doing here?" she stammered, frantically trying to pull Milo toward her car. "You're supposed to be at work." "Let go of my dog, Amanda," I said. My voice was dangerously low. "No," she yelled, her entitlement suddenly kicking back in. I told you, we are taking him. You are neglecting him. The kids have a bed set up for him and everything. I'm doing you a favor." Before I could even respond, the beautiful, glorious sound of police sirens echoed down the street. 2 police cruisers whipped into my driveway, their lights flashing. Amanda looked at the cops, then looked at me, completely horrified. "You called the cops on your own sister?" she shrieked. 2 officers stepped out of their cars. They immediately assessed the situation. One of them looked at Amanda and said, "Ma'am, drop the leash and step away from the animal." Amanda immediately tried to play the victim card. She started crying on command. Officers, this is just a huge family misunderstanding. This is my sister. And that I was just taking her dog for a walk because she neglects him. She's crazy. The officer looked at me. Is that true, miss? I didn't argue. I just pulled out my phone, opened the security app, and handed it to the officer. Here is the high-definition footage of her trespassing on my property, using a key she did not have permission to use, entering my home, and attempting to steal my dog. I want to press full charges for breaking and entering and attempted theft. The officer watched the video. He handed the phone back to me, nodded, and pulled a pair of handcuffs off his belt. Guys, the absolute meltdown that happened next was legendary. Amanda was screaming, crying, begging me to tell them it was a joke, as they literally handcuffed her against the side of her own minivan. As she kept screaming, "Who is going to pick up my kids? I'm a mother." The cop looked at her and said, "Well, ma'am, you probably should have thought about your kids before you decided to commit a felony." I scooped Milo up into my arms. He immediately started licking my face, his little tail wagging a mile a minute. I just stood on my lawn, holding my dog, watching my sister get put into the back of a police cruiser. The fallout over the next few weeks was absolutely nuclear. My parents blew up my phone. My mom came over crying, begging me to drop the charges. She said, "She's your sister. She just wanted to make her kids happy. You're ruining her life over a dog." I looked my mother dead in the eye and said, "No, Amanda ruined her own life the second she broke into my house. If some random stranger did this, you'd want them in jail. She doesn't get a free pass to commit crimes just because we share DNA." I refused to drop the charges because she had a completely clean record. She ended up taking a plea deal. She got 3 years of strict probation, a massive fine, and she had to complete 200 hours of community service. Her husband was so humiliated by the entire ordeal that they had to switch their kids to a different elementary school because the neighborhood gossip got so bad. I installed a state-of-the-art security system, changed all my locks, and threw that fake plastic rock into the garbage. Look, society tries to tell us that the word family means unconditional forgiveness. They try to convince you that if you don't have children, your life, your property, and your pets are somehow worth less than the desires of someone who did reproduce. But your peace, your home, and the animals you love are your responsibility to protect. You do not owe anyone your happiness just because they decided to have kids they can't say no to. If someone tries to bulldoze your life, don't argue with them. Just let the cameras roll and let the consequences do the talking. Have you ever had an entitled parent try to claim something of yours just because their kids wanted it? How did you shut them down? Drop your stories in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story gave you the sweet satisfaction of justice, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more crazy revenge stories. And remember, never, ever use a fake rock for your spare key. Catch you in the next one.